The two countries have a rocky relationship. Bulgaria was first to recognize Macedonia's independence from Yugoslavia in 1992, but it said no Macedonian language really existed, as it was an offshoot of Bulgarian. Both historians and politicians have been arguing ever since.
Reaching a consensus is so difficult because of all the overlapping history and even geography. Bulgaria has its own historical Macedonia region, Pirinska Macedonia, or Macedonia of Pirin, which takes its name from the mountain range that you can see right behind me that stretches all the way to the Greek border. It corresponds to today's Blagoevgrad Oblast in Bulgaria, which sits right between North Macedonia on one side and Greece on the other. And Bulgarian authorities fear that new minorities and separatisms might emerge.
Bilateral relations are further strained by even more disputes. Namely, what Bulgarian scholars and politicians say is an appropriation of history and key historical figures that have had cities named after them and monuments built to their glory. Bulgaria's EU presidency 2018 was supposed to change that, but the Bulgarian government says North Macedonia has done very little to find common ground.
These issues can be resolved by signing a simple document. Unfortunately, Skopje rejects this solution and is unwilling to discuss these issues. And this means that Bulgaria has no other option but to abstain from fixing a date for the first intergovernmental conference that would start accession talks. That doesn't mean the process is blocked. It's just a postponement. Let me say this again. This isn't coming from Bulgaria.
Beyond the content of history books, there is a geopolitical imperative that the Western Balkans be integrated into NATO and the EU. However, this process is being derailed by eternal turmoil, according to experts.
I have the feeling that, unfortunately, the political crisis within Bulgaria and the instability of the ruling coalition were the reason why we saw such an escalation of the rhetoric, particularly from nationalists.
Protests rocked the government between June and October, and while the movement lost steam amid the hard-hitting second wave of coronavirus, politicians are now focusing on the regular election set for the spring of 2021.